Alright guys, welcome to Rush and Retreat. So I'm going to do a deck profile on my Keldeo deck. I've basically been running this deck since it got announced. I was testing it, going off Henry Pryor's list, and evolving it from there. Played Super Scoop Up variant of this. It's really fun. Can't wait till Super Scoop Up is reprinted in X and Y sometime so that I can run that version again. Yeah, I've been running this deck since it came out. My friend Scott told me that people are calling it My Little Pony, and he wanted to test it, and so obviously, bam, decided to test it, and it was actually really fun. So before I start the profile, I just do want to show you that this deck does run 3 Tropical Beach. I feel like 4 is unnecessary, and 2 is just not enough, honestly. I mean, you could probably get away with 2 if you want to run 2. So if needing 3 Tropical Beach, or the fact that this deck runs 3 Tropical Beach, means you want to skip this video, by all means. I've skipped several videos like this when I was starting out, because, you know, screw spending that much on cards. But honestly, it was really, like, the best way to run this deck. So I'm going to go ahead and do the profile now. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, so this is Keldeo. I've done pretty well in almost every event that I've gone to. I think the only event that I've ever gone to that I haven't topped, I decided to run Victini Hex Eels, just because why not? Alright, so 4 Squirtle and 3 Blastoise. I'm just going to go through the list and kind of explanations on what's actually in the list first, and then I'll kind of go back through and explain like variations that you could do with this deck, just so that if you don't know how exactly this deck runs, you will after this. So 3 Keldeo EX. It's just good. You can stack energy on it. And most of the time I actually use this to retreat with. But I mean, hey, whatever. It's also a good 3 energy attacker. And then 3 Black Kyurem EX. You could probably get away with 2 of these, but I always end up prizing one, so it's good to have 3. Same with Keldeo. You could probably get away with 2 Keldeo, but once again, I prize them. So then, as you saw, 3 Beach. So now onto the trainer line. We run 1 Computer Search. Computer Search is the A spec. Like I said, I'll get on to my decisions on certain cards at the end. Alright, 1 Tool Scrapper, because that's good. 3 Escape Rope. Card is, honestly, I think better than Catcher right now. 4 Candy. 1 Energy Search. The all-important 4 Retrieval. And then my balls. We got 3 Ultra Ball, 1 Level Ball, 1 Heavy Ball. I honestly wouldn't run any more than 3 Ultra Ball. You could run 4 if you didn't run the Heavy or the Ultra, but I probably wouldn't run any more than that. Onto the supporters. 3 Juniper. 4 N. 4 Skyla. 2 Colress. And then the energy is 2 Lightning. And then a bunch of water. Maybe 10 water. So, to go on to why I run certain things, kind of explain the deck. I mean, you guys generally know how Blastoise works. The first thing that you'll probably notice in the list is only 3 of these guys. Now, my deck is focused, and that's actually, this kind of ties into why I'm running this as well. Early game. Juniper's not great early game. You don't want to discard Blastoises. I learned 3. You don't want to discard rare candies. You don't want to discard Squirtles. You don't want to discard resources early game. So Juniper isn't exactly the greatest early game, especially since you're trying to beach anyway. If you Juniper to 7, you can't get rid of any of the cards in your hand, you can't beach. So not all that great. Computer Search, same explanation. It's good for early game. I want early game setup. The way I usually play this deck is I try to get, which this kind of runs into why I play 4N. My general strategy with this deck is to get my opponent in the shittiest position possible, obviously, but that's every game. The general way that I play this deck is to try to get as little cards in my deck as possible, deck then as much as possible. Make sure there's very little cards in my deck so that late game, when I use one of my 4 ends, because end hurts so many other decks so much more than my deck, that all my cards in my deck are basically good. I save the Junipers, I save Call Resistance, stuff like that, so that every card in my deck I want to draw late game. That way, my opponent's like, oh, I'm going to end him to 3 or 2, and that's going to hurt him so much. Well, no, I haven't used any Junipers the whole game. It's not as big a deal. So it's better for early game. Plus, N is better, in my opinion anyway, for this deck early game, because it's basically it's shuffle draw for 6, which is a lot better than discard resources. So also, I learned 2 lightning with 3 black Kyurem. Like I said, I don't really plan to use all 3 black Kyurem. In fact, most games I discard a black Kyurem. The whole general idea with the 3 black Kyurem, which this obviously kind of goes into that, is I discard 1, but I always want to have 2. If 1 is prized, I don't want to have to deal with 1, and then if it dies, I'm fucked because I don't run Super Rad. So there's the reasoning behind that. Energy for days. So energy search is in there to get me not only my lightning in a pinch, I can Skyla for it to get an energy at any given time. I can also deck thin with it, which is really good. And then as far as the superior, I run 4 of those. I tested 3 and regular energy retrieval. Energy retrieval just honestly isn't as good. This is superior to energy retrieval. As far as the ultra balls, like I said, you only really need 3. The level balls for Squirtle, and if I ran like Sigilif or whatever else, a War Turtle or whatever, it would search that, which is kind of cool, or Jirachi. But Heavy Ball is good for, it searches Blastoise and Black Kyurem, and you can Skyla with these. You can Skyla for a Blastoise or a Squirtle, which is really helpful. You can Squirtle for anything, or you can Skyla for anything that you really need in this deck, which is the general idea, because Skyla is perfect deck then. Same with Rare Candy. You could run 3 Rare Candy and cut the Squirtle by 1 so that you're running 303 Blastoise, or even run a War Turtle in place of the other Rare Candy, but I don't see Gothitelle being really relevant due to Virizion, so, whatever. Keldeo is another thing that you could run 2 of if you're running 3 Black Kyurem. You could cut this for another Lightning Energy and make it more Black Kyurem focused, but Keldeo is always just such a good attacker, especially against stuff like Empoleon, where doing 200 and discarding all the energies isn't really good enough. You can knock out 2 Empoleons with a Keldeo, but very rarely can you, you would waste a lot of resources knocking out 2 Empoleons with a Black Kyurem. So Tool Scrapper, I only run 1. Basically, my reasoning behind that is if I play Garbodor and this isn't enough, and I can't set up early game, I'm basically relying on my deck to be able to set up quicker than they can get a Garbodor up. If they set up Garbodor's a bad matchup for me anyway, and that's really my only bad matchup, and since it's not really played all that much, if I play Garbodor and they get it out and I'm not set up, then I guess I lose, whatever, I'm going to accept that loss, to have my deck more consistent, because this isn't, honestly, people can argue otherwise, but this card just is not that good in any other matchup. People could argue that, oh, it's really good against Tool Time, not really, you discard 2 tools and they attach 2 more next turn, so whatever. And then one of the best cards I think in the deck is Escape Rope. I was testing without catcher prior to the ruling going into effect. I always like to test ahead of time. And I noticed that the flip just wasn't worth it. You could run it, but honestly, it's just not that good. Escape Rope adds so many plays. It almost baits my opponent into stuff. The fact that I run Keldeo means that I can, if I have a setup Black Kyurem or something, I can rush in with a Keldeo and then play Escape Rope and just see what they send up. And then depending on what they send up, I can send up a response to that, which is really good. I've had several times where I've killed a lone Duskull on the bench that I was really afraid of anyway, because they didn't want to lose a Jirachi and lose 2 prizes. So Escape Rope's just really good. It's also kind of mind-gaming. So I've got some other stuff that I might possibly run in this deck that I want to go over. Suicune is a really good tech. It's just good against a lot of different stuff, and it runs on the water energy that I already run. Unfortunately, I can only search it with Ultra Ball. But I mean, whatever, it's really good. I might possibly run a 4th Blastoise, but I doubt it. Discarding it or having them prized sucks, but, whatever. Black Kyurem, the second attack for a Lightning and basically 3 water, does 100, which knocks out a Rayquaza, EX, or basically any dragon, which is good, I guess. I haven't tested it, but I don't know, it could be good. Oh, I already ran computer search. Dowsing Machine, pew. Could be good. It's better for late game, but I don't know. I think computer search is just too good. Scoop Up Cyclone, but this kind of goes into what I was going to say before, which was this card's not really going to be necessary come XY because we're going to get Super Scoop Up reprinted sometime within there. But this card is really good. It's just kind of their computer search exists. If computer search happens to rotate, I will probably end up running Dowsing Machine, but it may go between that and Scoop Up Cyclone. So if you guys have any thoughts or opinions, just let me know. This is basically the list that I've been running for the past 5 events, and I've already got my deck list sheet printed out, so I'm not really going to change it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Coming up soon, I'm probably going to do a deck profile on Flareon, which is like one of the weirdest tech decks that I've ever seen. We've got 2 different variants that we're working on, so we'll see which one's better and post the list. So thanks, guys, and peace.